They say actions speak louder than words, but what if those actions are whispering secrets right in front of you? Over 60% of human communication is nonverbal. That means the truth isn't in what he says, it's in what he does. Subtle gestures, fleeting expressions, unconscious habits, they all reveal what's left unsaid. Why should you care? Because knowledge is power. This isn't about paranoia, it's about awareness. Today, we're breaking down the 10 most telling body language signs of infidelity backed by science. And trust me, number 5 is the one you can't ignore. Let's decode the unspoken. Number 1, the overperformer smile, when happiness hides the truth. Smiles are supposed to be comforting, reassuring, but what if his smile isn't real? What if it's a mask? Picture this. You ask him a simple question, "Where were you last night?" And suddenly he's all charm, all laughter. But listen closely. Watch carefully. His mouth curves into a wide grin, yet his eyes remain empty. Psychologists call this duping delight, a subconscious smirk that betrays deception. It's the face of someone who thinks they've gotten away with something. A fleeting moment where guilt collides with arrogance. The truth hidden in his smile. Real joy spreads through the face. It softens the eyes, relaxes the body, creates warmth. But a forced smile, it's stiff, exaggerated, like a performance meant to distract you. How to spot it? Test the change. Ask him something simple, then follow up with a tougher question. Watch how his smile reacts. Look beyond the lips. Are his eyes engaged, or are they cold, disconnected, or darting away? Does his laughter feel off? Too loud, too enthusiastic when avoiding serious topics? That's not humor, it's a defense mechanism. And what happens when the mask starts slipping? The body takes over, creating distance, pushing you away. Let's talk about the silent wall he's building between you. Number 2, the invisible wall posture, when love turns cold. They say love speaks in whispers, but so does distance, and sometimes the loudest message is silence. Physical distance can be innocent, a simple shift, a moment of exhaustion, but when emotional walls start building, when he suddenly stops reaching for you, stops leaning in, stops opening up, it's not just space he's creating, it's separation. The hidden meaning behind his posture. Psychologists have studied this for decades. Dr. Albert Mehrabian's research confirms that crossed arms, a stiff back, and an angled body aren't just habits, they're defenses, a subconscious shield guarding something unspoken. The red flag you can't ignore. Does he suddenly lean away when certain topics come up? Do his arms tighten across his chest when you ask a direct question? Does his once warm presence now feel distant, guarded, cold? This isn't just about how he sits, it's about what he's shielding. And the scariest walls aren't the ones we see, they're the ones built in silence. But here's where it gets even deeper and darker, because what happens when words and walls collide? Keep watching, because the next sign is a psychological tell that even the best liars can't control. Number 3, the silent confession, microexpressions that betray guilt. A lie can be rehearsed, words can be polished, a story can be memorized, but the face always tells the truth. Even the best liars in the world can't control it. Guilt, fear, anxiety, they slip through the cracks of our expressions before the mind can shut them down. The science behind the truth. Dr. Paul Ekman, a world-renowned deception expert, discovered that microexpressions, those fleeting flashes of raw emotion, are the body's biggest betrayals. They last less than a second, but they are impossible to fake. What this means for you. If he's hiding something, his words will sound perfect. His tone will be steady, but his face will scream the truth. Watch closely. Feel the shift. That quick grimace when you casually ask, "So, where were you last night?" A subtle flicker of fear when a certain name comes up. The barely noticeable gulp as if swallowing the guilt stuck in his throat. Your subconscious sees it before your mind processes it. That feeling in your gut, it's not paranoia, it's perception. And if you caught even a glimpse of hesitation, a flash of unease, you need to pay attention. Because microexpressions don't lie. But it doesn't stop there. Because guilt isn't just worn on the face, it spills into the body. And if you know what to look for, you'll see it unravel right in front of you. Number 4, overcompensating with affection, when love feels like a bribe. Love should feel like security, not suspicion. But sometimes the grandest gestures hide the deepest betrayals. The psychology of guilt. Guilt doesn't always look like regret. Sometimes it wears a shiny bow and comes in a velvet-lined box. When someone is hiding something, when the weight of their deception becomes unbearable, They try to lighten the load by buying their way out. And here's the painful truth. A gift given out of love feels warm. A gift given out of guilt feels heavy. The hidden pattern. Has he suddenly become overly generous for no reason? Are his just because surprises happening right after you question him? Do his gifts feel more like distractions than genuine acts of love? A story of a wife that haunts. I thought he was finally putting in effort. He handed me a designer handbag, kissed my forehead, and told me I deserved the world. But that night, I saw his phone light up at 2 a.m., a name I didn't recognize, a message he quickly deleted. And in that moment, I realized the price of my handbag was his guilt. Because if gifts have started replacing honesty, what else is he trying to cover up? Let's talk about the next sign, one that most people overlook, but it's a dead giveaway. Number 5, the restless betrayal. Fidgeting and anxiety. Do not ignore this one. Psychology speaks. Your instincts listen. Ever felt that deep, unshakable feeling in your gut that something is just off? You ask a simple question, but instead of a calm response, you see it. His hands twitch, his leg bounces, his fingers drum against the table like a ticking time bomb. Why? Because the body betrays what the mind tries to hide. Science says stress releases cortisol, the fight or flight hormone, making the body restless. A 2023 study found that people touch their faces an average of 23 times per hour when lying, their subconscious attempting to wipe away the guilt. Micro-movements, tapping, shifting, scratching are the silent screams of anxiety. Here's what you do. Don't accuse, just observe. Say this and watch closely. Hey, you seem a little tense. Is everything okay? In that moment, his reaction will reveal more than his words ever could. If he pauses too long, a red flag. If he forces a laugh and deflects, a red flag. If he suddenly changes the subject or plays the victim, a red flag. Guilt doesn't hide. It leaks through the cracks. And if you think this is revealing, wait until you see what his eyes are telling you next. Number 6, the silent betrayal. Secretive phone behavior. Secrets don't always hide in whispers. They hide in silence, in the small, deliberate acts that seem insignificant until they're not. A locked phone is one thing. But when his phone suddenly becomes an extension of his hand, his lifeline, his shadow, that's something else entirely. Psychology speaks. 73% of cheating cases start with digital secrecy. Not with a kiss, not with a touch, but with a guarded screen, a quick swipe, a sudden change in habits. Do you recognize these warning signs? The screen flip. He used to leave his phone anywhere. Now, it's always face down. The vanishing act. Messages appear and disappear. A text lights up the screen and suddenly it's gone. The defensive reflex. A harmless, "Who's that?" turns into a cold stare. A quick excuse, a sudden burst of irritation. The unavailable hours. He used to text back instantly. Now his replies are delayed, vague, inconsistent. The shift you can't ignore. The man who once shared everything now guards a tiny device like it holds his deepest fears. Why does this happen? Psychologists reveal that guilt creates subconscious anxiety. A guilty mind anticipates confrontation. That's why. He reacts before you even ask. He pulls away, not just from conversations, but from connection. He's physically present, but emotionally somewhere else. The hardest truth, when someone starts hiding their phone, they're not just hiding a device, they're hiding a part of their life. But here's the thing, this isn't the worst sign. The biggest, most undeniable sign, it's coming up next. And if you miss it, you might never see the truth until it's too late. Stay with me, because the next one, it's the one that will change everything. Number 7, the silent transformation, a new look, a hidden truth. Change is natural, we all evolve. But sometimes change whispers secrets we're not supposed to hear. A new gym obsession, a sudden switch in cologne, clothes he never cared about before, a sharper haircut, a fresh energy in his step. At first it feels harmless, maybe even exciting. But then a question creeps in. Why now? And more importantly, for whom? Psychological truth, our subconscious mind is a storyteller, one that never lies. Studies in evolutionary psychology reveal a phenomenon called mate retention tactics. When someone is drawn toward a new romantic interest, their instincts kick in. They refine their appearance, heighten their desirability, and unconsciously prepare for seduction. But here's the heartbreaking part. If this effort isn't directed toward you, if these changes emerge out of nowhere, without connection, without shared excitement, It may not be about self-improvement. It may be about someone else. What to look for? Does he suddenly care about details he once ignored? Is he dressing to impress but not for you? Has his reflection in the mirror become more important than your reflection in his eyes? The real question. Who is he getting ready for? But the truth isn't just in his wardrobe, it's in his eyes. Because when someone is hiding something, their gaze tells a story their lips never will. Number 8, the eyes that betray. When his gaze tells the truth. The eyes don't just see, they confess. A loving gaze should feel effortless, natural, fluid. But when trust is broken, the eyes become restless, conflicted, almost desperate to hide something. Scientific research on deception proves that eye contact isn't just a social cue, it's a window into guilt. Too little eye contact? It's avoidance. His mind is searching for an escape. Too much eye contact? It's forced. He's trying too hard to convince you he's telling the truth. Liars don't look away because they're shy. They look away because they're running from your gaze, from their guilt, from the truth. The deep psychological reason. This phenomenon, known as ocular motor interference, reveals a painful truth. When someone's words and emotions don't align, their eyes become the battlefield where deception fights to stay hidden. A subtle, powerful test. Next time, lock eyes for just 5 seconds. No words, no accusations. Just hold that silent space between you. Watch closely. Does he shift uncomfortably? A racing mind struggles with stillness. Does he blink rapidly, gulp, or force a smile? His body is betraying the words he's about to say. Does his gaze dart away the moment you ask a real question? That's the moment his truth slips. But here's the real question. If he has nothing to hide, why does looking at you feel so hard? And if you think this is revealing, wait until you see 9, because what he doesn't say speaks louder than anything else. Number 9, the cold silence, when love fades before it's gone. They say cheating doesn't start in the bedroom, it starts in the heart. Before he physically strays, before the late-night secrets and the carefully guarded phone, something else happens first. A slow, almost imperceptible shift, a distance you can't measure but you can feel, like a wall rising, brick by brick, between you. The silent warning, he no longer laughs like he used to. Conversations feel one-sided. You pour love into the space between you, but it feels like whispering into a void. He's there, but he's not really there. Psychologists call it emotional disengagement, a subconscious detachment that happens when guilt, secrets, or another person pull his emotions elsewhere. It's the space where love once lived but now echoes with emptiness. How do you know? Try this. Reach for his hand, just once, gently. Does he flinch? Does he stiffen? Does he pull away? Because sometimes the moment he stops holding on is the moment he's already let go. The final, undeniable sign that he's hiding something, and it's the one even the best liars can't control. Stay with me, because this next one will change how you see everything. Number 10, the price of guilt, when love feels bought, not felt. They say love is priceless, but what if the person who swore to love you is trying to buy your silence instead? Think about it. That sudden, extravagant gift, that unexpected designer bag, that expensive weekend getaway, right after a strange late-night call, a defensive argument, or a moment when you caught something off. At first, it feels sweet, special, like maybe, just maybe, they finally see your worth. But deep down, something gnaws at you. It doesn't feel like love. It feels like an apology you never got. Walker's 2024 study reveals a chilling truth. 68% of cheaters admit to guilt-driven gift-giving after an affair, not because they love more, but because they feel guilty. And that's where the danger lies. Guilt isn't love. Lavish gifts don't erase betrayals. Roses don't fix the thorns they leave in your heart. Love isn't measured by the price tag. It's proven in presence, honesty, and trust. So ask yourself, are they giving gifts to celebrate you, or are they trying to silence your intuition? Because the biggest thing in a relationship is losing your self-worth to lies. What if I told you the truth is never loud? It doesn't shout. It doesn't argue. It whispers in the quiet moments, in the smallest gestures, in the way someone pulls away or holds on just a little too tight. These signs, they aren't accusations. They're breadcrumbs, clues, not to fuel paranoia, but to empower you, because deep down you already feel it, don't you? That unsettling gut instinct you've been pushing away, that moment when something felt off. Alone, each sign is just a flicker, a moment. But together, They form a story, and every story deserves an ending that's chosen, not forced. If you've seen these signs, if something inside you is screaming for clarity, don't silence it. Trust is the foundation of love, but awareness, that's the shield that protects it. Now I turn to you. Which sign hit you the hardest? Which one made you stop, think, and feel something stir deep inside? Drop a comment below. Let's talk. Let's connect. Let's build a community where silence isn't the enemy, where truth is spoken, shared, and heard. Subscribe for daily insights. Because love isn't just about finding the right person. It's about knowing when to fight for them and when to walk away.